Hey guys, and welcome to another SOS video. Now I was bored lately checking out some private messages and I come across this guy called Phoenix Fire. So I click his video, he sent me. I was thinking, yeah, I'm bored, when I'm checking it out. But little did I know that the next video I'm about to see will blow my mind, because this guy is by far the greatest YouTuber commentator there is. When it comes to Pokemon, this guy reminds me of a freaking StarCraft commentator, that high-end level guy, little mix with the flaming spade, so with that you get a score of near Chuck Norris. I'm not even joking, it's true. I'm gonna shut up because whatever I say right here would have not even come close to his work. His quality of work, he makes doubles and singles. He's a great player just judging by how he plays. He plays around with the Gravity team. I'm blown away by his work. I'm gonna let you guys enjoy his stuff. If you like his video, subscribe to him, which I highly believe you will, because this guy's work is purely amazing. Truly, keep up the work, dude. So yeah, with that, until next SOS project, this is me, Xenon, signing out.
Welcome back, Phoenix Fire here with another double spell, once again featuring my gravity-based team. This time I'm facing Nemo is Love from Abra's Asylum. We had a fairly long match exceeding the 30-minute mark, so let's get it started without further ado. My opponent leads off with Powdon and Jirachi, while I lead off with Clefable and Starmie. Packing Gravity and seeing my opponent has a ground Pokemon to take advantage of it with Stab Earthquake, I decide to forgo Gravity the first turn and try to kill it off with a Hydro Pump, while Clefable protects to prevent any damage if a Powdon would survive. Fearing the water move, my opponent switches out for a Zapdos, while Jirachi sets up Light Screen, revealing that it's a double screener set. With Zapdos out, Starmie is definitely in danger. Taking the chance my opponent carries Thunderbolt over Discharge, I command Clefable to use Follow Me, while Starmie sets up Gravity. Luckily for me, Zapdos does carry Thunderbolt, allowing Clefable to successfully defend its teammate. Jirachi on the other hand sets up Reflect, completing my opponent's defenses. Seeing Zapdos outspit Starmie last turn, I now know it's Scarfed. In order for Starmie to survive, I'm forced to use Follow Me with Clefable again, thus allowing Starmie to use Blizzard and take out Zapdos even with the Light Screen in place. As Jirachi has set up both screens, my opponent commands it to use U-turn, allowing it to retreat and giving his teammates the opportunity to take full advantage of the added defenses. With Zapdos down, the score is now 6 versus 5. As Nemo brings in Scizor on the U-turn, he decides to send in Jirachi again to replace his fallen Zapdos. Fearing U-turn from Jirachi would take out Clefable, thus permitting Scizor to hit Starmie for super effective damage and the Light Screen, denying me a one-hit KO, I decide to recall it and send in Dusknoir. Unfortunately for me, my opponent goes for Wish and Sword Dance respectively, allowing him to get a decent advantage over me for the following turn. With Clefable using Fire Blast as a last-ditch effort, Scizor does survive thanks to the Light Screen. Not wanting Dusknoir to take a +2 stab ignition boost to Bullet Punch, I sacrifice Clefable by using Follow Me, thus giving the green light to Dusknoir to burn Scizor with Will-O-Wisp. As Bullet Punch eliminates Clefable, Nemo's Jirachi goes for U-turn to pass his wish. As he switches in Powdon, Dusknoir goes for Will-O-Wisp. Regrettably, my opponent Scizor does carry the Lumberry, leaving the burn undone. As the turn ends, the score evens out at 5 versus 5. With Scizor still at large, I send in Jirachi. Fearing Earthquake, I oblige it to protect itself, while Scizor goes for U-turn to dodge the Will-O-Wisp and send in his own Jirachi. Predicting that, I burn Hippowdon instead, reducing the chance of it taking advantage of Gravity. As my foe roars out Dusknoir, dragging in Toxicroak and Gravity wearing off, I'm forced to take a more defensive approach to the next turn. Wary of Earthquake, I use Protect on Toxicroak and Gravity on Jirachi, figuring the latter has enough bulk to take a burnt Hippowdon stab. Unbeknown to me, my opponent wastes a turn by using Reflect with Jirachi and sets up Stealth Rocks, rendering my Protect meaningless. As my opponent is eager to reset his screens, I decide to go on the attack and hit Hippowdon with Cross Chop and Icy Wind. Thanks to its bulk and the screens, it easily survives both attacks and roars Toxicroak out to scout my team. Luckily for me, Dusknoir gets dragged out again, denying my opponent any new information. With the opponent's light screen wearing off, I decided to go for another Icy Wind. Even though Nemo's Jirachi definitely was going to reset his team's screens, I refrained from exchanging my own for one of my sweepers, fearing Hippowdon's Roar and the Stealth Rocks in play, thus causing my sweepers to take unnecessary damage. Unable to do a lot with any of Dusknoir's attacks, I decided to burn Jirachi as well, for residual damage and to cut the strength of its U-turn. Thinking Hippowdon is as good as dead, Nemo actually packs Slack off, regaining half of its HP and this allowing me to finish it off with another Icy Wind next turn. Unable to finish Jirachi and Hippowdon off due to the screens and their recovery moves with either of my Pokemon, I'm forced to recall Jirachi and switch in Toxicroak to cripple both with Taunt later. With my foe reinstating both screens, I decide to leave Dusknoir in, fearing Roar, and to slow down any possible switch-ins so that Toxicroak may outspeed them. As predicted, Hippowdon goes for Roar, forcing Dusknoir out in exchange for Jirachi. With the fact that my opponent still has a status 3 but damaged Scizor around, I decide to taunt Jirachi first instead of Hippowdon, preventing it to pass a wish and heal Scizor back to full. Even though Hippowdon is the most dangerous of the two out, it doesn't pose as much of a threat as Scizor due to its bulky EV spread and its attack reducing burn. With Gravity on its last legs, I'll leave Jirachi in to use the Icy Wind and to restart Gravity next turn. As predicted, my opponent does try to go for Wish, while Hippowdon slacks off once more. As Gravity dies down, Toxicroak taunts Hippowdon to cripple it, while Jirachi enables Gravity once more. With no other option left due to the taunt, the opposing Jirachi uses U-turn, fleeing the scene and bringing in Scizor to take its place. Seeing taunt coming, Hippowdon uses its last move, Earthquake, to evade taunt and deal little to moderate damage to all Pokemon on the field. Regardless of the fact that Toxicroak was able to survive the hit, it won't be able to live another turn due to Stealth Rocks or the Sandstorm damage. With that in mind, I leave it in as fodder. In the meantime, my opponent switches Hippowdon out and sends Jirachi back in. As Scizor finishes off Toxicroak with a Bullet Punch, my Jirachi goes for Thunder to deal as much damage as possible to Scizor. Although I do manage to get a paralysis off, the priority offered by Bullet Punch easily negates that obstacle. With Toxicroak down for the count, the score drops to 4 versus 5. To replace Toxicroak, I send in Dragonite. Packing extreme speed, I try to finish off Scizor with it, but despite being adamant and life-orbed, Reflect allows Scizor to live the hit and Bullet Punch Dragonite for massive damage. With the foe's Jirachi HP rather low, my opponent picks Wish to recover up, while Jirachi keeps hitting the opponent with Icy Wind. Even though it only inflicts a little bit of damage, it denies my opponent of switching in a faster Pokemon, as it will get slowed down to a point where my mediocre speed Pokemon can outrun and finish it off. Seeing how much Icy Wind did last turn, I'm going to try to finish it off with another one, while Dragonite protects itself, thus blocking Scizor's Bullet Punch and forgoing unnecessary Life Orb damage, especially in this raging sandstorm. Horribly for me, Icy Wind isn't able to kill off Scizor, thus forcing me to use Extreme Speed with Dragonite next turn to finish it off and take even more residual damage. In the meantime, Nemo's Jirachi uses U-turn and passes its wish to Hippowdon, mending it back to full. As Extreme Speed finishes off Scizor, I'm positive Hippowdon will try to go for Roar on Dragonite, causing it to faint the next time it comes in due to Stealth Rocks or Earthquake outright. While Jirachi uses its only offensive move effective against ground types, Hippowdon actually roars out Jirachi, dragging out Starmie to threaten it directly. With Scizor down and Gravity returning to normal, the score currently stands at 4 versus 4. With the end of the match creeping closer, my opponent sends in Jirachi again. Fearing Dragonite's Dragon Rush would miss and Jirachi being able to outspeed if it has EVs invested in said stat, I try to finish it off with one last Extreme Speed. Unfortunately, Reflect once again gives my opponent enough bulk to survive, causing Dragonite to fall in vain. Eager to take out Hippowdon, Starmie uses Hydro Pump, which will easily KO as Light Screen is no longer in effect. Although crippled by the burn, Jirachi deals a brutal blow with U-turn, leaving Starmie hanging on with only a sliver of HP left. As Heatran switches in, Starmie succumbs to the sandstorm. With knockouts on both sides of the field, the score plummets to 2 versus 3. Down to my last 2 fighters, my opponent sends in Jirachi once more. Fearing some type of fire move, I let Jirachi protect itself. As Nemo's Jirachi sets up a final reflect before succumbing to the burn, the foe's Heatran goes for Toxic, revealing it to be a bulky stalling set. Even though Dusknoir is now crippled, it's able to set up Gravity for one final time. With Jirachi burned to cinders, the score is now at a critical 2 versus 2. While my opponent reveals his last Pokemon, a Starmie, I am definitely in for a climactic battle. As Dusknoir can't take a lot more punishment, I command it to use Shadow Sneak. But thanks to the foe's Reflect, Starmie is able to shake it off with relative ease. Baffled by Starmie's Surf, my opponent claimed he made a misclick and opted to go for Thunderbolt on Jirachi, as Starmie is Specs. In retrospect, it definitely worked out for him, as he was able to deal a decent chunk of damage to Jirachi and eliminate Dusknoir at the same time. Hoping Thunder would defeat Starmie with Light Screen gone, my luck runs out as it is able to survive the hit and evade paralysis. As Heatran hits Jirachi with a super effective Earth Power, the score drops to 1 versus 2. In a desperate attempt to turn the tide, I protect Jirachi in the hope Starmie might KO Heatran with Surf. Unluckily for me, Heatran also sports Protect, allowing it to evade the attack. Not wanting to bet the house on a second Protect, I decide it's now or never, and attack full blast. As expected, my opponent does go for a second Protect and is able to pull it off. As Starmie soaks Jirachi with Surf, Jirachi takes it and barely survives thanks to the leftovers, allowing it to lash back with an all-powerful Thunder to eliminate Starmie once and for all. With only one Pokemon left on each side of the field, the battle now enters its final stage. As Jirachi charges one final Thunder and strikes Heatran with all its might, Heatran is able to survive the hit. Even though paralysis takes effect, Heatran fires back with Earth Power, defeating Jirachi and ending the match in a 0 versus 1. That was the game for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to like, comment and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Until next time, Phoenix Fire signing out.